As far as Disney cartoons with a plot go, Star vs. the Forces of Evil has some of my favorite antagonists throughout its run. Just about all of them, even the minor ones, have some type of charm to them that pulls me in and I can't get away. For this video in particular though, I'm only going to be going over the main antagonists that have had a major impact on the overall story, so characters like Preston Chanjo or the Pie King aren't going to be covered at all in this video. For starters, on Ludo Avarius, I feel like just off his introduction all the way back from Season 1, he wasn't really meant to be taken all that seriously as an antagonist or threat. Granted, I'm not saying he's fodder or anything, he definitely has accomplished some impressive things and has grown more as a character than anyone else I'm going to be talking about today, but he's without a doubt more of a comedic relief antagonist than a straight up threatening one. Kind of like Buggy the Clown from One Piece in a sense. Both of them have pretty impressive backgrounds, i.e. Buggy being a part of Goldie Roger aka the King of the Pirates crew, and Ludo coming from the Royal Avarius family of Kappas. But both of them were seen as the weakest link of their respective groups and thus ended up being comedic relief because of it. Which again isn't necessarily a bad thing because I do love Ludo and he's probably the funniest antagonist ever in this entire show. Ludo's case isn't nearly as bad as Buggy's though. Although Ludo was being manipulated by Toffee behind the scenes in Season 2, prior to the audience knowing this, Ludo was really starting to make a name for himself again, starting from scratch might I add. At the end of Season 1 he was left with nothing, but then eventually recruited the giant eagle and spider as his core henchmen, had a rat army at his disposal, as well as successfully stealing the magic book of spells from Star and keeping it for the remainder of Season 2 until Toffee in his possession form destroyed it in the beginning of Season 3. And when Toffee ends up being, quote unquote successful with everything he's done prior to Star annihilating him, you could just see the pure sadness in Ludo's face when Toffee told him he played no part in the grand scheme of the plan. Ludo's main goal prior to Toffee's defeat had been to be in possession of both halves of the butterfly wand so he could rule the universe. Ludo wasn't necessarily always evil, but because he was always getting the short end of the stick from his family for being the runt of the pack, he just began to grow a distaste for them and the world in general, therefore sought to rule it. After Toffee's defeat, Ludo was no longer a threat and still isn't unless he somehow pulls up out of nowhere in the finale. That'd be kind of funny, honestly, but I mean, I kind of hope they don't do that because I really like what they've done with Ludo's character. Since then, the show focused more on him moving on with life and developing more of a relationship with his younger brother, Dennis. Dennis showed more love and care for Ludo than any other character in the entire show. Dennis looked up to his older brother and was always trying to make him feel better, especially after what happened with Toffee and Butterfly Castle. He was the core reason Ludo was able to find a purpose in life again other than stealing the wand. I really do like the conclusion they gave Ludo's character. The abusive parenting he received is the core reason I feel like he became a villain in the first place, so having Dennis and later the rest of his siblings stand alongside him to get their old family castle back, but this time excluding their parents, made me really, really happy for Ludo. Of course, at one point during this conclusion episode, he almost went back to his old villainous ways due to Dennis finding some of his old henchmen, and the henchmen wouldn't stop talking about the wand and how they could potentially steal the wand again. And Ludo began to, get sucked back up into that again, but he realized his obsession with the wand was what was driving his brother away, and in the end, he put the needs of his siblings before the wand, and I love that so much. Now, on to Toffee. Toffee, without a doubt, had a huge sinister presence in Star vs. the Forces of Evil ever since his introduction. We could just tell from the get-go he always had ulterior motives other than just helping out Ludo and his henchmen. A lot of what made Toffee so cool was a super serious, but at the same time calm way of going about things. I know it's became kind of a cliche in shows where the main bad guy is the scheming but calm guy in a suit and tie, and Toffee fits that bill, but it doesn't bother me at all, to be honest, because he works it, amazingly. In Season 1, I did like him a lot, but we really didn't know what his goals were at the time. We knew he had ulterior motives, but it was kind of hard to really get a good grip on what he was all about and what he was planning to do. All we knew was he wasn't in Ludo's gang just to be another lackey, and he hated magic, especially the magic the Butterfly family wielded. Season 2 into early Season 3 is when he became more and more of a threat as more was revealed about him and his goals in his past. Ever since Ludo found the other half of the wand connected to the skull forearm with the missing finger, the entire fanbase knew it was Toffee's hand. However, we didn't necessarily know if he was going to come back or not. It was heavily implied, but not 100% confirmed at the time when, Ludo found the hand. As more time passed, we learned more about Toffee's ideology and how badly he wanted to be rid of magic as a whole. He believed magic was what was wrong with Muni society and it needed to be destroyed. Which is crazy because he was actually kind of right the whole time, which is what I love about his character even more. Star is going to destroy all the magic in the finale in some way, shape, or form. Her tapestry borderline confirmed it, but she's going to be going about it the right way in a more peaceful way. At least more peaceful than Toffee's way, because Toffee's methods to be rid of magic were very, very radical. For instance, going rogue and killing Comet Butterfly, Moon's mother and Star's grandmother, and indirectly destroying different parts of Muni while manipulating Ludo through the wand hand. I can't help but respect him though, because of the incredible lengths he went to destroy magic for what he believed to be the greater good. He clearly did loads of research over the years on how the butterfly magic works, probably even more so after Moon blasted his finger off. He knew that the whispering spell would send him into one of the halves of the wand, and he knew getting Ludo to open Eclipse's section of the spellbook would trigger him to come out and get free passage within Ludo's body at certain times. Toffee wielded the magic he hated so much because he knew that the end goal would all be worth it if he succeeded. Toffee's plan was without a doubt the longest and smartest engineered plan in the entire show. Like, so much steps and prep went into this, it was insane. Sadly, he didn't do as much research as he thought because getting rid of the wand's magic wasn't enough to completely eradicate all magic, since there's a whole ass dimension with crazy amounts of reserves with it that Star was able to use to get a whole new wand to beat him with. I mean, he's voiced by Michael C. Hall, for God's sake. It's just straight up impossible for him to be considered bad. Bad as in like a crappy character / antagonist, not like bad as in people. Toffee is just so cool, man. It made me so happy to hear Star say he was right all along about magic. Magic is just too dangerous to keep around because it gives people like Mina and her crazy ideals enough power to actually make change. Bad change at that. Now, when it comes to the longest ever looming presence and mystery behind an antagonist, Meteora definitely takes the cake for that one. Her first appearance all the way back in Season 1 hinted that she was connected to the butterfly family in some way due to the clovers on her cheeks, but the specifics were unclear until the mid-season finale of Season 3, where Mina revealed her as Eclipse's daughter. I think I sympathize with Meteora more than any other antagonist in the show, even more than Ludo when it comes to, like, backstory. Ever since Meteora was an infant, she got the short end of the stick. Her parents got crystallized by the Magical High Commission when she was still an infant, and her stepdad wanted nothing to do with her because she was half monster. She was forced away from her right to the throne of Muni because of how anti-monster Muni was back then. Even in present day, Muni was still pretty bad in that regard, but since the episode Coronation, they've seemed to have gotten a bit better. But that, combined with the fact that her adoptive mother was a robot, aka Saint Olga, who constantly made her fix her quote-unquote imperfections like her clover cheeks and monster attributes, made her lose her way and forget who she was. She became so brainwashed to the point that she took over Saint Olga's and became exactly like her adoptive mother. That is until Mina helped her regain her memory and Monster Bash. Meteora then began to fight for what she believed was rightfully hers, the throne of Muni, which it kinda was, to be honest. The Magical High Commission in Sastakan fucked her over. Shout out to Glabgor for eating that loser. Even though what Meteora is doing is clearly going too far, since she was using her magic eyes on people that weren't even doing anything wrong while she was on her way to Muni Castle. But it's kind of society's fault that she ended up like this. Both of her parents are good people, but because she was taken away from them at such a young age due to humans disliking monsters so much, she was forced to grow up in a horrible environment and learn the truth of her past the hard way. Thankfully, she's been given a chance to start over and be raised by her freed parents. Can we get a poggers from chat for Black Velvet Inferno making her an infant again? She gets to start all over and be raised the right way. In terms of power diversity and just overall strength, she was also a great treat to watch as well. Her soul-draining eyes are pretty much OP. It's basically a one-shot if she hits you. The only person to see not be completely affected by it was Moon, and the only way to cure the half of herself that had been drained was to go to the magic dimension. And, well, I guess Tom, because he's a demon and has multiple souls within himself, so he wasn't one-shot either. But even then, Meteora's raw physical strength was enough to knock him down long enough for Star and Eclipse to deal with her the entire time. Lastly, I really like how the writers made her more of a nemesis to Marco rather than Star. She was the only antagonist with a lot of significance who wanted to see Marco's downfall more than Star's. Of course, Star and her still had beef, but it was nice for Marco to have a go-to baddie for him to deal with, making him Princess Turdina and beginning the Princess Revolution to overthrow Meteora as the head of St. Olga's. Meteora existing was able to give more depth to Marco's character, which is pretty dope. Finally, the potential final boss of Star vs. the Forces of Evil, Mina Loveberry. Mina was originally one of Star's biggest role models. She was seen as Muni's fiercest warrior whose strength is practically unmatched. Until Meteora came along, that is. Although Mina is definitely strong, she's a bit of a nutcase and is the most anti-monster character in the show when it comes to all the major characters we've met. And Solaria's ideology is mainly to blame for this. Before Mina, Queen Solaria, aka Eclipse's mother, was the most anti-monster human/queen to ever exist. She wanted to be rid of monsters so badly and acted more like a soldier than a queen. She even designed her magic sword/wand with special magic that was able to destroy any monster that it came into contact with. And this magic, aka Solarian magic, was able to be replicated and used on peasants so they could become powerful Solarian warriors. Mina was the first ever Solarian warrior that Solaria recruited. Solaria filled Mina with all this hope, telling her she loved the passion in her eyes, and if she joined her, she'd make the fiercest warrior Muni has ever seen. For the first time in her life, Mina felt like she had purpose. At least I assume so, since she was an old rag saleswoman prior to meeting Solaria and didn't look very happy with that life. Mina has been incredibly loyal to Queen Solaria ever since and always wanted to keep her will alive, but was very limited with what she could accomplish. That is until Moon Butterfly agreed to help Mina with overthrowing Eclipsa and used her magic to create an army of Solarian warriors to overthrow Monster Castle. Okay, now I know what Moon did was really fucked up, and maybe I should have put her in this video, but it's kind of hard for me to see her as a full-blown antagonist, to be honest. Like, this is the only antagonist-like thing she's really done, so I don't think she's really qualified for me to make a whole section about her to talk about. Plus, Mina ended up betraying her anyway, and Moon's kind of back on her side as of right now. It's a little shaky, but yeah. Moon's main goal was just to get Eclipse and Globgor to leave so she wouldn't be queen anymore, whereas Mina is still loyal to Solaria's ideals and wants to eradicate all the monsters as well as Eclipsa and imprison those who associated with Eclipsa and Globgor. I do really like Mina's goofy and insane personality though. Amy Sedaris plays her perfectly. Also, fun fact, the bird Mina has named Sebastian may be a reference to a character Amy played on My Name is Earl who owned a cat named Sebastian. But even with her goofy personality, whenever she augments herself, she becomes a very serious threat. With her Solarian battle armor, she's probably the strongest character in the entire show we've seen thus far. Like, Eclipsa almost lost to a no-name Solarian warrior in battle armor. I'm pretty sure Mina is the strongest one, since she's at the forefront of their army, and she was the first one ever, so do the math. To me, she is the best design out of all the antagonists because of how similar it is to Star's. Like, she's almost a polar opposite of Star in a sense, but still has that similar design. She was introduced as someone Star wanted to eventually become like, and now she's the one Star has to take down for the greater good. Also, her magic augment transformation is the coolest looking power-up in the entire series for me. She's basically going Super Saiyan. Like, how can you not like it? It's great. What could have been potentially cool to add to her being more of an antagonist, in my opinion, is if Star continued to see her as a role model for a longer period of time, like throughout like season 2 or maybe even parts of season 3, so it would have been more heartbreaking for Star to deal with having to fight her. Whereas Star pretty much stopped looking up to her in the same episode Mina was introduced because she realized how nuts she was. Like, it could have killed two birds with one stone in a sense. Mina is a better antagonist, and Star as a character has more to overcome, but that's just me. I think that just about does it for this video though. I know I was AFK for a while when it came to making Star content. I'm sorry about that, but long story short, it was this last season airing in bomb format combined with me having to work more hours on my day job that made it really hard for me to find the drive to make videos about these episodes on a super consistent basis. You know, with episodes airing in bomb format as a content creator, I feel like you really gotta be like consistent and like constantly talking about this stuff because there's no room to really be theorizing or speculating all that much because, you know, theories and speculations can be potentially disproven in the next episode because it's airing in bomb format. It was hard for me to even just watch the episodes on time. I had to just binge basically the first half of the whole season, but it was worth it. It was a very enjoyable season. Even though the show is coming to an end incredibly soon, I hope I'll still be able to make some videos about it here and there. This show really does mean a lot to me. I'm gonna miss it a lot. It sucks that it's ending. Let me know in the comments down below your thoughts on the antagonist I talked about here if you wanna. Leave a like down below if you enjoyed the video, and if you're new to the channel, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out, take care. Bye-bye.